Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2022 Sanderson Farms Championship. This is my Before the Lock show. First off and foremost, thank you for checking me out and congratulations already. Again, if you are going to watch this, you are going to gain an edge on your competition and you're already on your way to cashing in those DFS lineups and hopefully making some good bets. Okay. With that said, we are going to go through ownership projections. I'm going to give you my prize picks for the Thursday, first day start of the Sanderson Farm. So you're going to have that, hopefully to 10x your money. I'm going to go over the weather. We're going to go over the guys that are 7,000 and below, give you my top value plays out of there. Going to do all the analysis that you're used to. And with that said, we got a lot to do, so let's get into this. Okay, so let's start out with my prize picks for the Sanderson Farms Championship. This is for the first day, Thursday only. And of course, if you go check them out right now, they do have a promotion running. And all you need to do on your first deposit, you can check out their app, which that's what I like. But you go to prizepicks.com. Either way, sign up. And then make sure you enter in the promo code GolfGuru. They're going to match you 100% up to $100. So if you put in 50, they're going to give you 50, so on and so forth. And what is Prize Picks? It is a real simplified way to multiply your money by just literally picking over-unders on projections. You can do, of course, NFL, baseball. Of course, I'm covering golf, but I do also get my NFL ones, which, I think I'm 2 out of 3, something like that. Also on the golf, been pretty successful. We've hit 2 out of 3 on those too. So with that said, let's just get into my picks for you. And here's who I'm going with. I've got Sam Burns to shoot under pretty much he needs to shoot a 69. So under a 69.5. I kind of, of course, did quite a bit of little research on this. For the weather side for the first day, it is going to be very calm, overcasty, maybe a little chance of rain in the early afternoon, which is going to soften up the course. These guys will light this place up, I think, on the first day if it is overcasty, which is going to give them softer greens. They're not going to dry out. So I like Burns, of course, in the first days. Sebastian Munoz, typically, of course, he is my guy on the first days of a tournament on Thursdays that goes out and lights it up. He's a past winner here. They've got him set at 70, so he'd be like my lock. Now, he had a really rough go. He actually shot the worst he ever has in stroke gain analysis at the Fortinet. It was kind of a one-off. I have no issues of putting in Munoz and picking him to go under 70. He just needs to get a 69. You got to remember, this course also has 6 birdie opportunities. We got the 4 par 5s. You've got, I think, number 5 is an eagle opportunity. So there's a lot of opportunities to score out here. And then I got Gary Woodland. You got to pick an over, and Gary can go either way, but most of the time on his first rounds, it goes a little sideways, so I've got him actually shooting over 70. And then Sergio Garcia, like a Munoz, typically on first days, not a bad play for a first-round leader. I also like him to shoot a 69 or better. It's pretty much what we need to get out of Sergio. So I like them all. The only one would be Gary Woodland that, he could come out and shoot a few under. Just Gary's game has been so sporadic. But we'll see. If his putter is there, then he could break that. But typically that's, what is going to ultimately hold the cards for Gary Woodland. So that's my prize picks. Good luck with that. Check it out. Either way, if you don't want to do golf, like I said, if you want to do football, whatever it is, but those are the picks I'm going with for my 10x multiplier. And I am locking in all 4 of those. So you got options. You could just do 3 out of 4. You could just pick a couple of these guys. If you don't, like I said, if you want to remove the Gary Woodland, and you feel good about Munoz, Burns, and Garcia. So you got a lot of options. I like to go with the 4 pick. I like to lock it in. So that way there I get my 10x multiplier if I do hit. And I've hit, like I said, 2 out of 3. Okay. Just real quick, if you missed my previous shows, I do have comp courses. I am going to bang those against these value plays. My favorite is Valero, Houston Open to follow. I also like Valspar, Rocket Mortgage. And then the last 3 would probably be, we got Recent with Fortinet, the Safeway / at Silverado. You got 3M Open, and then Arnold Palmer. A lot of these courses are Bermuda. A lot of them are around the same yardage. Most of them are par 72s. So there's a lot of good characteristics, and even kind of older traditional tree line. Now, like I said, a couple don't fit exactly, But there's enough there to see that if they've done well there, they could definitely do well. And of course, we're going to look at Sanderson Farms. Okay, with that said, let's go into the analysis, and then we'll do ownership projections, weather, and get you guys out of here. Okay, so I'm jumping over to Fantasy National. Again, if you've never seen it, never used it, I highly recommend it. I'm pretty sure they got like a week trial. But yeah, go check it out at fantasynationalgolfclub.com. And what we're looking at here, of course, this is all based off DraftKings, and I'm going to be focusing on the guys about around 7,000 and below. There's a lot of the guys that we want to play are upper eights to the 10,000 range, so we're going to need to find some value down here, and there is some value I think to be found. So you can put in the Will Z's and the Corey Connors and the Burns, but then you're going to have to build with some of these guys down here. And if you do, I'm not looking for these guys to win, but we're looking for like a top 25. Definitely get you over to the weekend, and that's the guys that I'm going to be talking about. I've got no filters on. And kind of what you're looking at here, again, if you missed my pick show, is a smaller model emphasizing the things that are most important to do well, to be successful at this course. I am looking at the last 12 rounds and looking at all the courses. So it just brings in pretty much their last 3 rounds they played on the PGA Tour, or some of the guys' Korn Ferry information we pulled in. I'm looking at birdies gained over the last 12 rounds here. We got recent results and, of course, tournament history that we'll look at each of these guys. I picked 13 guys. I've got top 5 that are coming out of this 13. So like I said, I whittled down for the 7,000 below, whittled down the best players I think, then give you 13 that you can then make your own choice. And then I'll give you who I think is the best 5 out of them. Okay. With that said, right off the bat, we got Hudson Swafford. I'm putting him in here because he was in my top 15 picks. And I don't think I did the analysis on him or showed you the analysis on my pick show because totally forgot that he was down that low. And it's actually, he's probably one of the better values. Now, of course, it is Hudson Swafford. I've always said he's like my Harris English doppelganger. They almost kind of play a little like they just, everything about them reminds me of each other. But anyways, Hudson Swafford actually ranks out of this complete field, out of the last 12 rounds of golf, so last 3 tournaments, number 2 in ball striking. And again, as you see, when that pops up, that is combining off the tee stroke gain with stroke gain on approach. And I've mentioned 1,000 times that is the number one thing that we are looking for here. Yes, he missed a cut at the Fortinet, but before that, and we're talking elite fields in the FedEx, he had a T17, a T11 at the Northern Trust, had a T37. So he was on a hot streak here. Yes, he had a missed cut at Barbasol, which is, an alternate event. But, still, I would take out of the 5 events, to have that kind of results out of a guy that you're paying $6,900 for, like I said, and out of the ball striking off the tee. And really, this is kind of reduplicated, but if you want to see, he ranks 3rd on approach out of this field, out of the last 12 rounds, ranks 30th off the tee. He's not gaining where I'd like to see on the par 5s, but he is getting opportunities, ranks 61st. So we could also go look at his history here. So he's only, that's probably something that's also hit the price, is that he's only made the cut 1 out of 3 times he's played. But he did have a T26 when he did make the cut. So that's, again, what we're kind of looking for. We'll go click on Hudson, and just so you can take a look. Typically a pretty decent putter. I'll give him that. Bermuda is not his best surface, which that's what we're dealing with. You kind of just look over the sample size over his last few. He ball striked the shit out of the ball at the Northern Trust. Just the putter kind of let him down. Then he kind of flipped it at the BMW, where good on approach, but gained 6 strokes on that surface, which I believe was bent. Let's go just take a gander. Yeah, that was a bent green at Case Valley. And also a real simple course. They tore that place up. But you can see real good off the tee over his last, if you take, it's about his last, 8 events. He's gained off the tee except for the last couple, and then gained about over half on approach. So all that said, pretty good. And then if we just click on real quick where he's had his success, his best showing recently was at the Palmetto. That's kind of where he popped his head up again for a while, where he had a second almost backdoored into a win. If you remember, I believe that was Chesson Hadley, who kind of fell apart on the back 9, which then gave Garrick Hago the win and was one of my picks for a bet. One of the courses we were talking about, the Safeway, which this is a long time ago, so not really to put a lot of weight into that, but let's just go put in those comp courses, see what he's done. And let me click on by date so we can see the most nearest results, or most recent, probably a better way to put that. So it's been a while since he played Valero. So he played it 5 times, made the cut twice, miscut the most recent, but that was, I don't know, over 2 years ago. What about Valspar? Not so hot at Valspar. Tough course, but he's had a few miscuts there. The one most recent would be back in the May time frame. What about the Houston? Done anything there? Played it once, miscut. We looked at the Fortinet, so miscut recently. Funny enough, though, had pretty good success at Silverado at the Safeway. Making cuts. Best was an 8th, a 17th. It's not too shabby there. What about the 3M miscut? That was over a year ago. Arnold Palmer is an invitational. You've had some success actually at Bay Hill, funny enough. A miscut recently, but other than that, that's a tough track to get around. Long, par 72, Bermuda. So some good showings there. And let's go look at the Rocket. Played there not recently, but the previous year, 2020, and ended up with a 30th. So I already picked him in my top 15. I think it's an excellent value. And I had a few guys that were up in the upper range. So I needed to get you guys, if I was going to, give you 3 guys or, that are 10,000 range, I wanted to make sure you had a guy that was up there. So I like Hudson Swafford for a bounce back. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. The next guy that comes up is Ryan Moore. And doesn't really, in my mind, I don't think of Ryan Moore, as a really good ball striker. I think of Moore as a plotter. I put him like in a Ches Reavie, Ryan Armour kind of gang. But, you can see that he's been, striking the ball amazingly. I'm guessing that the putter has to be a disaster to have these 3 missed cuts. He's never played here before. Let's go click on Ryan Moore. And some of these guys I did not run against the comp courses, but just liked what I saw from last 12 rounds from a stroke. So he does gain on Bermuda over his life, his career, pose his best surface. And kind of what I stated, he's just not been gaining with the putter, but has been really gaining off the tee. Had a couple nice approach days, and then kind of meal out. But yeah, it's been the putter that's been letting Ryan Moore down. But just click on this, we can just see where he's had his success, the John Deere, which is a little bit shorter track. The Fortinet, of course, is a comparable Valero. So while we're on that, let's just go plug it through, and let me click on date so we get the most recent results. All right, Valero made the cut every time. Had some really nice showings there in his past history, but most recently was a 76. And if I remember correctly, I think Ryan Moore was dealing with an injury early on in the 2021 season. But I think he's, kind of gotten over that, because there was a spell there where, he had these missed cuts here starting out the year. Okay, back to Mr. Let's see, the Houston Open, way long time ago. It still was called the Shell, so I'm not worried about that. The Fortinet, a couple of miscuts most recently, but, in his older days. Even Moore was a Ryder Cup at one time. He played for the U.S. Ryder Cup, and I think he might have even clinched a point or the match for us. I remember something with Ryan Moore in the Ryder Cup. That was a while ago. The Valspar had a 39th recently. That's good. You can see he's had some success here. A couple of miscuts in between. What about the 3M Open? Played her 3 times. Had a 12th back in 2020, but miscut recently. Arnold Palmer made the cut almost every time, and boy, he's played there quite a few. He did not play recently, but a 52nd back in 2020. And then we look at the Rocket Mortgage. He played in the inaugural Rocket Mortgage and missed the cut. So, again, Ryan Moore could be somebody that you see, and like I said, you can see everything from a model perspective. It is his first time playing at this track. Anibal Lahiri popped up, and he had a pretty good showing at the Olympics. He did play in the Northern Trust at a T56, so that's a little better than average. Again, he had a field of 125. He had a good showing at the Barbasol, again, an alternate event. Has played here twice, and he's made the cut in, actually, you could say, a T37, a T45, so better than a 50th. Pretty good ball striker. It's typically the putter with him too, which I've said is, I think this is where guys can spike that are bad putters. Let's go take a look at Mr. Lahiri. So over his life gained on bent, Bermuda slightly is less than neutral. You can see he had a little spike in his putting here recently. That's good. Solid off the tee. Approach just losing just a hair, but pretty decent around the green. And we see this right here. So off the tee, he's been gaining all the way through. A couple good iron weeks. And then had a nice putting round at the Barbasol, which I don't know if it tells me a keen trace. Yes, it's bent. So just so you know, it wasn't Bermuda. Let me get back on Lahiri here. And then we'll go plug in. Like I said, Lahiri probably not going to have a ton of, he had a nice showing at Valero recently, fifth, and that's my favorite comp course. So there you go. Something to go off of. Hasn't played the Houston, the Fortinet, not recently, but the year before. He had a 36 back when Mr. Stewart Sink won. What about Valspar? 2019, he had a 30th. What about 3M Open? He had an 84th, which wouldn't cut the mustard now. Arnold Palmer, couple of miscuts recently, so not too good at Bay Hill. And then the Rocket Mortgage, he made the cut at a 52nd here just this past July. And then a 42nd, the inaugural edition of the Rocket. All right. So that's Mr. Lahiri. I think it's a good play, 6,200. It's like bare bones. So if you're really getting aggressive up top with your picks, he's someone that you can plug in again, comes up ninth in my model. So yeah. Let's move down to Adam Svensson. I mentioned him on my show for the Fortinet. Had a nice win on the Korn Ferry. Graduated, was one of those top 25 guys. Was on the PGA Tour a year. I don't know. It was a while ago. I mentioned that the guy can string some birdies together. Not a bad showdown play. Didn't do a ton at the Fortinet. I mean, he did make the cut. I was actually hoping for a little more out of him, but you can see from a ball striking out of the last 12 events that we've got ball striking information, and we have to look. Let me go check. I just want to check what that's pulling because so it's grabbing the Fortinet and then it's grabbing some data from way back in 2019, and you could see ball strike the crap out of it. If we look at the Fortinet, not the greatest ball striking outing, but still made the cut. But it's there, and I'm not going to go through and plug in the courses for you because he's not going to have probably any of them. Well, you know what? Let's just do this. We'll do it a different way. Let's look at what he's won. So he has won, as I mentioned, a couple times in the Korn Ferry recently. And then I'm looking for his best PGA show was at the 3M Open. So there we go. One of my comparable courses that's back in 2019. The John Deere and the Amex would be the next on the PGA, which he had a couple 18s, which is pretty solid. The Wyndham back again. He had a 31st. Sanderson Farms, he did have a 39th back in 2018. And the Safeway is the Fortinet. The Valero again, he made the cut. So, that's pretty solid. I mean, it's past stuff, right? But he's had some recent history of winning and graduate. So again, for 7,100, it's right around my borderline that I'd probably pay for him, but I think it's a good play at that price. Probably like even a little more than Adam Svensson is John Augustine. And he's been playing some really good golf. I think the first time he popped on our radar was at the 2020 Masters back when Mr. DJ won. He had a pretty good appearance there. And he played as, I believe, an amateur in that event. Yeah, he did because, of course, he just graduated from the Korn Ferry. So he was an amateur when he played in that event. Never played in this event, but you can see 16th out of this field over the last 12 rounds from a ball striking perspective. Let's go look at John Augustine. He was a Wake Forest guy, played on Walker Cups. I mean, very touted. We'll see what kind of information we have from a PGA side, but he had that sixth place, of course, at the Fortinet, so did really well on his, I wouldn't call it his debut, but it was his first PGA card holder. I mean, he had an exempt at the Wyndham and the Schwab. So if you look over his last three events, these are all PGA events. They're all, within this year, so within the past 6 months. And, he's doing everything. I mean, you can see he's actually a pretty good putter, at least his last three PGA events. He's gained strokes. I did lose quite a bit at the RBC, but that was back in the April timeframe. I'll click on position with him just to see where he's done again, because some of these guys are not going to have a ton. So I already looked at these. Again, his last 3 appearances on the PGA tournament's done pretty well. There's that Masters I talked about. He made the cut. That would have been as an amateur. And that's really it. Missed a cut in Valspar when he had an opportunity. Missed a cut at RBC and missed a cut at Arnold Palmer. But we'll go off the recent history and what, and these guys are streaky. And he's also kind of learning his way around. I like John Augustine. I think it's a good play at that price tag. Sam Ryder came up, again, not a guy I think was a real amazing ball striker, but over his last, 12 rounds, he's ranking 20th against his field. And, he's played here 3 times and never made the cut, so that is definitely a negative. But, not too bad over his last 5 events. He made the cut to Fortinet, missed the cut at the Northern Trust. Again, those guys went low there, and it's an elite field. But at the Wyndham, the 3M, and the Barbasol, not too bad. You can see what he's done for birdies. It is in the green. That's a good thing. And let's go click on Mr. Ryder. So Bermuda is neutral for him over the life of his career. You can see decent putter, really good on approach. And, last 5 events, he's actually been gaining off the tee. You can see that here even more applied. But it is nice to see that putter is doing pretty well. You still got to make putts to win. And let's go see what he's done at some of the comparables. So he's played the Valero 3 times, missed the cut recently, but made the cut the other couple times, beaten, better than a top 50 finish. So that's pretty good. Houston Open twice, missed the cut recently, but at the CCF Houston, which I think is a better comparable than Memorial Park, which would have been in 2020. He had a 28th, so that's pretty good. What about the Fortinet/Safeway? 58th, most recent, last tournament, so he made the cut, but had a couple misses and then had a 4th. So there you go. What about the Valspar? Played it 3 times, made the cut back in 2018. Just cut recently. What about TPC Twin Cities for the 3M Open? He had a 25th there, which is a pretty good little showing. 34th and then 1 missed cut in the middle. And then let's go check out the Rocket. Played that. He does not like the Detroit Golf Club. Somehow missed a cut there every time. So that makes me a little nervous because I also like that that course is a pretty good comparable. But yeah, is someone to think about. 6,700, low ownership projection. Russell Knox. It's a putter debacle with that guy. If he has a hot putter, that guy is very live. But you can see tee to green, very solid. Again, ranks 22 against the field in ball striking. If you look at recent results, nothing that's going to make you super excited, but made the cut at the Fortinet, had a 24th, a T24 at Wyndham. But, some missed cuts, especially at the Barbasol. But, guys go low there, and if you're not going low, you're not going to be, you're not going to make it. He has played here quite a bit. Best shown was a T17th way back in 2013, but most recently missed a cut. Hence the $6,500 price tag. And let's go take a look at Mr. Knox. So you can see it's a putter thing. But I told you, this is the course that people can get hot with the putter. You see this ball striking right here is solid, all green. So that we like. It's just this right here, around the green, and the putter is where he struggles. But if you're sticking it, 20 feet from the pin, hopefully this gets up. Let's go see what Mr. Knox has done at some of my comparable courses. So he's played the Valero 6 times, and made the cut the first 3 efforts, and then missed the cut the last 3 times, and most recent back in April. So that's not good. I'm all about Houston or recent. The Houston Open though, he had a 15th here, pretty recent, back in November of 2020, and made the cut 28th in 2019. So that's a positive. Let's go check out the old Fortinet. He had a couple of nice showings there at Silverado most recently. He did make the cut. He had a 58th, which I think we already discussed. Valspar, 21st. That's good. That's a nice showing there. And actually gained with the putter. That is Bermuda. So you can see on Bermuda, just being specific, he's 3 out of 7 he's gained. So can happen. Check the 3M Open, couple missed cuts, and you can see that is some missed putting there at the TPC Twin Cities. Arnold Palmer made the cut every time but once. Barely made the cut here recently, but did do it. And let's check out the Rocket. Made the cut with a 41st here recently and a miscut the previous year. So Russell Knox, someone that's been showing pretty decent recent form. It's going to come down, of course, to putter with him. Substraka, he was actually, I mentioned, it's one of my early favorite bets. I believe it was like 150 to 1 or 180 to 1. I don't know what he's at now, but I still like it to win. I mean, it's a super long shot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can see it's either boom or bust, and we're going to look at that with him. He's at 7,000, really low ownership. And I am going to do ownership, so don't worry about that. We'll go over all of them. You can see Bermuda. I mean, Poa and Bent, he's gained. Bermuda is a little negative. You can see over his last 10 rounds, the putter's kind of let him down. But if you look over the last 3, 2 out of 3, he has gained, and he had a good showing. If you remember at the Olympics, I try to remember if he made the playoff for the bronze or not. I think he led it like the first day, but he played well. I'll just put it that way. He played well at the Olympics. And you can see it's either a miscut or a 15th, a 10th. And then he had a kind of a steady go. He had a 9th at Corrales. So, those are the guys that will spike. They have those spike weeks. He has the tools. Good on Showdown, too. I like to play him once in a while on Showdown. Let's go see. I don't know if we're going to get anything good out of the comp course. So he made the cut here recently at Valero, the Houston Open. Had a good showing, but that was so the 2019 I mentioned was CC of Houston, and that was Memorial Park. Did not play the most recent one, but, he does well at the Houston Open. What about the Fortinet? Miscut recently, but before that, he had a 14th, a miscut, a 46. So there you go again. You see the spikes or the miscut. It's either boom or bust. 46 at the Valspar the one time he played it. 3M Open miscut recently here this past summer, but had an 18th and then a miscut before that. What about at the old API? A couple miscuts, nothing there to write home about. And then there you go with the Rocket Mortgage again, 11th and 8th or a miscut. So hopefully we get that top 10, top 15 out of them. And that could just, that could be a game changer. Matthew Neesmith, I've said this 1,000 times. I never get this guy right. The model, typically, he's been kind of falling off a little bit, but he's a model lover. Like, he's a ball striking master. It's everything else. You can see off the tees went a little sideways, but the irons must have been doing really well. Nothing to write home about. It's just the cost for him that's pretty low in this field, but he has been on the trend down. But you can see, he has last year he had a T17 here and a cut before that. It is, again, he falls into that. If he's, typically strikes the ball well, it's the putter that will let him down. But you can see over his life of his career where he's actually had some positive on a putting surface is Bermuda. So that was a little bit what kind of got me excited. Again, you can see, pretty elite, we'll say, with the irons, and everything else is a little suspicious, but had a good showing tee to green. It was the putter that let him down at the Fortinet. His last was at Palmetto. He had a 35th. You see everything. And actually, even game was around the green. He lost some strokes. He had a nice little run here, tee to green. Again, just, only had one positive putting. So let's go plug in his comparables, see what. So, most recently at Valero, he had a 34th, and that's, you need to be a good ball striker there. So that's a positive. Houston Open, couple miscuts. That is not a positive. What about the Fortinet? He had a 51st here just recently, which I think we probably saw that, but 2 miscuts before that. Valspar back in May, again, a ball striker's course. He had a 21 at Innsbruck, Copperhead, so that's solid. 3M Open, couple miscuts. Again, it's kind of like back and forth. That's not solid. Miscuts at the Arnold Palmer. And what did you do at the Rocket? You had a 58th, which, hey, Webb Simpson, if I remember correctly, was supposed to win that and missed a cut. So long story short, it is back to that same narrative of, let's pick ball strikers and just hope that they have a spike week. Dwawi Vanderwalt. This guy's been around for a while. Even though he did just pop off the Corn Ferry Tour, he is not a rookie. I think he's like 38. He has 2 wins on Europe, and he has a couple wins on the Corn Ferry. He's never won on the PGA, but he is, he had a good showing at the Fortinet. What kind of, again, brought my eye to him. You can see, over his last 5 events, he's been playing some good golf. He hits about 300 off the tee. Good iron player and a pretty decent putter. He has played here once, way back in 2016. Like I said, this guy it's been around for a while. He had a T33, but again, that's a while ago. But you see, over his last 12 rounds, been making birdies. He comes in 40th as a ball striker out of this field. Again, with a smaller sample size, but a recent sample size. I told you he's good with the irons. See what we got on Dowie. You can see he is a positive, almost. Don't let that fool you. He does gain on Bermuda, but it's so slight. So, but at least he gains. But you can see all the data we have over 73, rounds for this guy, or tournaments. Better way to put it, 73 tournaments. He has been good with the putter and been solid with the irons. It looks like if he has that spike driving week, not the greatest short game. So, like I said, we can see recently here the two events. He did play at the Houston Open back in 2020 and did all right. Had a 20th and then played the Fortinet, his first back on the PGA with his card. Tee to green, did an awesome even game with the putter, but again, it's around. But around the green, you can be negative and win this tournament. I think I showed that before. I don't think he's going to have a ton of. Let me just see where he's done his best work. So it's kind of funny. It doesn't show up here. Well, the European Tour would not, but he does have a couple wins also. They were a while ago on the Korn Ferry and the European Tour. Just seeing about. I'm just going to scan and see that the Houston Open was one of my comparable courses. Not the AT&T. Wells Fargo, that's a long time ago, but Quail Hollow, you got to be a good ball striker to make the cut there. There's that Sanderson Farms way back in 2015 where, he didn't game with the putter, but he did well, tee to green. You got the John Deere, he showed up, made a cut of Wyndham. And then what we got here, that looks like a bit of Korn Ferry. I had a Honda. And then that's going way back. But anyways, someone to look at. He's proven recently and had some success in the past. 6,500. Adam Long, this guy. I don't know if you know Adam Long, but he'll pop up and almost win a tournament. Something about coastal courses like the Bermuda, the Mayakoba. I don't know what it is, but you get him on a vacation course and this guy will be in there to lead. So that's only the last time he really kind of showed up. But he is a pretty solid ball striker. You see he makes his birdies, gets his, makes strokes on par fives. He ranks 49th in ball striking. He's just been non-existent except for the 3M Open. He has played here 3 times. He had a T23. A lot like even Straka. It's either with Adam Long, I guess where I was going with all this was either he's going to top 20 or he's going to miss the cut. I don't know if these guys, if they just kind of get out of after the first day, they just mentally check out. But it's just so crazy to see those swings where it's not 50th, 60th, 40th. It's top 20 or miscut. You can see he can, gain with the putter. Bermuda's his worst surface, but again, they're all nothing to write home about. They're all kind of neutral, even though these bars look bigger than the other. But you can see over the life of his career, he does typically gain with the putter. Gains off the tee. It's just whatever's going on with the irons. I'm not worried at all around the green. But you can see here over his last 5 events, he's positive in all categories. So do what you want. I mentioned the 3M Open, he popped. The John Deere, he popped. So again, miscut or a 25th. Miscuts, a 26th, a 20th. Miscuts, a 22nd. A third. Remember, I was telling you about OHL. And he actually had a little run here for a bit back. And these are both, top 80 guys, no cut events. Corrales again. So think about when we make our swing over to I call it the Bahamas Open, the Bermuda swing, if you want to say. Don't forget about Adam Long. I don't know what it is, but you get him on these coastal island courses, and the guy shows, at least recent form. He had a second at the 3M. So let's go just plug in the comparables because he should have. And like I said, you're going to see miscut or probably a pretty good showing. So, a couple miscuts at Valero. Let's go check out the Houston. He's got an 11th. So there you go. So that proves the theory again. Let's look at Fortinet. So a 23rd or a miscut or a 63rd. So there's one of those 60s, but pretty rare with him. Valspar, miscut. I think we already did the 3M. Oh, no, we didn't. 3M, he had a second, a 35th, and a miscut. Arnold Palmer, let's misspell that. A miscut, a 10th, a 24th. And then let's check out the Rocket, a couple miscuts. So, Adam Long at 6,200, he's going to be super low owned. And just know, I mean, maybe a better bet, like for a top 10 or a top 20, I'd have to guess his odds got to be pretty good. I haven't even checked it out. Might be something I look at. But, but I think also down here, why not? If you're going to, try to differentiate your lineup, I guarantee Adam Long is not going to be really played. Rory Sabatini, right? You can see his ownership's already over 6%. Everybody's thinking the same thing I am. The last time we saw this guy was at the Olympics. He went in fuego on the final day, right? I think he shot like 9 under. I don't even remember now. I just remember him birdie after birdie, just doing a Rory Sabatini thing that he could do. But you can see, the Wyndham I guess so. The Wyndham would have been after? So maybe that was after the Olympics. Let me take a look here. I don't even remember exactly when the Olympics were, so I don't know. This is going to tell me a lot. So August, they had to be right around each other. I don't know which was first. It doesn't matter. So the Wyndham, he also had a really good showing, but you can see, a bunch of miscuts before that. But like I said, what's going to stick in everybody's mind, and that's why I got him on the cover. Opening screen was, everybody's going to be like, oh, Rory's here. Rory Sabatini's playing, and they saw what happened in the Olympics. He's probably going to be pretty. I don't want to say he's going to be chalky for that price tag. I have a feeling, and we already see. But anyway, sorry. Let's go click on Rory and just see. In his heyday. I mean, he's been on tour since like the tour was like invented. So you can see the Valero, he had a 30th. So that's good. That's one of my top comparables. So that's a good showing. The Houston Open. And also I like to play Rory. I'd play him because you see how hot he can get. I would play him on Showdown once in a while. Fortinet, a bunch of miscuts. So that's Silverado, Safeway. What about the Valspar? Miscut recently, but had some success there previously. The 3M Open, miscut. Arnold Palmer, miscut recently, but I don't know, made some cuts, some miscuts, nothing to write home about there. What about the Rocket? So he had a third, the inaugural. I do remember that. So I've been right behind Lashley and Redmond, and then a couple breakdowns at the Rocket before that. So Rory, again below 7,000. He had that. Like I said, we got the Olympics and the Wyndham. That's what that's going to be kind of hanging on to see if you can catch that fire again. Kevin Chappell. Just bringing him up because he, I think he's played here once, had a T23, actually came out. I think he was like leading the first day. It typically is a good ball striker, but he's never been the same player. I've said this before. Since the injury, he had a major like back injury, like slip disc or whatever it was. But you can see the Travelers, Palmetto. That's a Corn Ferry event. For 6,100. Again, if you want to differentiate, his ownership is going to be super low, but the guy can spike. And then I kind of looked at just what was going on here with him. Gained a little bit with the driver off the tee. Has he was an elite iron player again before the injury. Has some kind of on and offs with the putter. Let's just take a look at. So he won the Valero. So this is pre-injury, and this is what I'm going with. I mean, second in a tour championship. Second in the Players. So what you're seeing here is he was a phenom. If you don't know who this guy is, back in the day, he was, was something. And then, like I said, and he had a major injury, almost to the point where I think they were thinking he might never play golf again, but has made a comeback. But you can see it's just not been the same. We'll just go plug him in just for the heck of it. So yeah, like I said, you're going to see, from winning the Valero to, and let's let me get date on there for you. So for you won in 2017 and miscut in 2021. See Valspar again. I don't know what. Okay, that is. So it's been a while since he played there, but did make the cut once a long time ago. Again, pre-injury. Fortinet, nothing really write home about there. Let's call that a push, right? He's got 4 miscuts, 4 made cuts, something like that. I think we already looked at Valspar. Yes, we did. Okay. 3M Open. Nothing. Arnold Palmer had a 52nd, so made the cut. That's somewhat recent. Not this year, but the previous. And then the Rocket played it once. Not this year, but the previous had a 66. So, again, just someone that, bare min price. A little bit in my mind. He came out. Let me just see something here. I got to remember now. I think what sticks in my mind, I think he shot like a 59 or 60. I'm just trying to see when that would have been, but I don't think he did much after that. And it would have been around 2019 ish. It was like his almost his first event when he came off the injury. And that's like what still sticks in my brain. Maybe it was this. Maybe it was at the Honda. No, it was definitely not the Honda. That's pretty interesting, though. I forgot about this. So back in March timeframe of this year, he had a 13th at Honda. So there was probably his best showing in a while. Okay. Anyways, something to think about. All right. While we're on that, let's jump over into ownership projections just real quick. I've already got this kind of ciphered down. If you know what, if you don't understand what we're looking at here, just real quick, within Fantasy National, you can build, your mass lineups. You can pick your favorite players. And this is taking all that information from everybody that uses this tool in the golf community, and it gives you a calculated ownership of, what should be their ownership. And you really want to kind of look. I use this number over here. You can look at this too, whatever, but it seems like this one comes in the closest. Again, it can be off by 1 or 2%. And your three top highest owned guys is the Hoff, M, and Burns. And then following up, again, the ball strikers, right? Corey Connors, Wise, Seamus Power. A lot of these guys I picked. Mito, Tringali, I did not pick. Matthew Wolf's up there. I think everybody like me, and like I said, he was in my top picks, and then I think I swapped him out for Stallings. But we know what he can do, and he's can be an amazing ball striker and a pretty good putter, but he's just so volatile. Someone actually asked me in the community about Taylor Penderith. I like him. I didn't pick him, but I have no issues with him at all. Corn Ferry guy, pokes the ball, if I remember correctly, pretty far off the tee. Carlos Ortiz has excellent, I think, 2 top 4s here. I like him as one of my picks. Munoz, again, past winner, good, great player. I like Munoz. I'm a Munoz fan. But like I said, he just played the worst golf ever in his career at the Fortinet. I think he shot 8 over, lost over almost 10 strokes total tee to green. Never happened before with him. So I don't know what happened. We're just going to call that a one-off and hope like heck he is back to doing what Munoz does. Matt Walsh, I think everybody's, I think it's not a bad play for the price tag. We're all remembering what he had, that little bit of Texas swing run that was at Valero. And then really hasn't done anything since. So I'm kind of off on Walsh. So he's got to show me a little something. Will Z, that's kind of interesting. 12%. I think he's, right there could do. I think this course fits Cameron Davis, right? Just won the Rocket. Wasn't one of my picks, but, he, again, won the Rocket. Really hasn't done a whole lot. Norlander, ball striker. You got Keegan, ball striker. There's my Scott Stallings. I like Shank. Yeah, Griot is a ball striker. Even though he hasn't been doing a whole lot lately. Woodland's going to be interesting. I think if he ends up I think it's a miscut or a top 10 for him. I broke back Patty Gazar, which I did not pick, but could do something here. Luke List, like Bramlett was one of my picks. Garcia, it's funny how I think the price tag's got people, and I think what I was thinking, I just feel like he's gonna be burned out from the Ryder Cup. Trying to see with some of my value plays. So Knox is at 5. Bronson Borgoon was one of my top 15. So that could be a nice leverage point. There's my John Augustine. Rory's at 4.4. Joel Damon, wouldn't be a terrible play. 7,400. I'll just throw that out. Camilo Villegas, I was talking about him quite a bit, even in my earlier shows when he first kind of made his comeback. He reminds me of Nate Lashley. He's like a really elite iron player. Right. He was a ton of success. Then, kind of fell off the map and has been making a comeback. Of course, he was dealing with some family issues with his daughter. But he can get super streaky hot with the putter. Not a bad first-round leader. You know what? I think I'm going to make that bet. I'm just going to throw that out there. I would have to guess his odds are really good. This guy will spike 1 round for sure. There's my Neesmith. There's that Dwowie and Hudson. They're pretty low ownership. I think everybody's terrified that Hudson Swafford is going to go back to being Hudson Swafford. Lucas Herbert. He hasn't really, he had a little spike there for a while and it's kind of fallen. Seb Straka, man. I like that. 2%. I will be building with some Seb Straka. KH Lee, he was one of my top 15. That is crazy that He's less than 2% owned. Molinati had a great run here, but he just had like a three round streaky thing. So I don't see Molinati doing a whole lot. I think Brandon Hagee is a good play. There's my Lahiri, less than 2% owned. Nate Lashley. You know what? I didn't even really look into him, but I did talk about Wyndham Clark as a 1-8. I think Nate Lashley could be very live here. Again, just fits him. And he had a pretty good showing. Now we got to go click on Nate Lashley. Let's go check him out real quick. I just want to see what he did at Fortinet because I actually, yeah, he had a 16th. Green across the board. He's just getting looked over, I think, because that guy can get super streaky with the putter, and Bermuda is a positive putting surface for him. Put down Nate Lashley as a value play, guys. I'm telling you. Mark my words, I will be playing him. I didn't put him in. I somehow skipped over myself, but now I see that ownership. See if there's anybody else that pops up that we might want to talk about. Appy Barnrat. For some reason, I was thinking about him earlier today. This guy, let's go click on Appy Barnrat while we're here too. You can see Bermuda gains. You know what? I'm going to be using this guy. Over his life's getting half, but this guy used to be a ball striking ninja. You can see off the tee, he pokes it and he can spike with that irons. Just want to see when he had his last, like, really good. Let's go do this. All right, so 2019, he showed up. That's a ball striking course. That's at Golf Day, Chapultepec, long track, tree line. Again, that's 2019, but I'm just trying to see when the last time he actually, Bermuda, the Boise Open, so that's a Corn Ferry. Can't really count that. KF, so he had to go down to Corn Ferry just to get some exemption back. Corn Ferry. All right. I don't know. When I think of him, of course, Ben Wyan, he could be a sneaky play. You might want to think about it. I might throw him in a lineup or two. Again, it depends on how many lineups you're building. Definitely not a cash game player. None of these guys are that I'm talking about down here. All right. I think that's enough. You got an idea on ownership. I gave you some other ideas that I didn't even talk about, but let's go check out the weather report for you guys on Windfinder. Again, if you're playing Showdown, this is important. I didn't see anything for, AM, PM, even though there's some guys I do like that I'm going to play in the AM. But this is what you're going to want to pull up. Jackson, McKellar, probably the closest location on Windfinder that I could find to the course. Here's Thursday is what we're going to have to look at. I mentioned going to be overcast. Winds are going to blow at night, but we're, pretty solid during the day. Could be a sprinkle of water that could happen. Same on Friday. So again, this course could be scoreable, I think. You got the overcast. It's going to soften up these greens. You don't really have the wind. But then Saturday, we are going to have some gusts. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a little breezier on Saturday, and same with Sunday morning. So, guys usually are, again, this is a few days out, but it's so funny on everybody on Showdown on the finale, just builds those early AM guys, right? And it could be a little interesting to see they still stick with that. So that's the weather. And I think that's it. Let's go wrap this up. Okay, so let's summarize my top 5 value plays. I mentioned Seb Straka, made a bet on him. I like him here. Everything from that perspective, I think he could do very solid. So I'm down with him. That's my John Augustine there. If you don't know who that is, I think he's a great value play. Neesmith, again, I never get this guy right. If I say play him, he sucks. And if I tell you not to, he's great. So we're going to hope that this time I get it right. I like Matthew Neesmith down there. And then that's that Dwawi Vanderwalt. Like I said, if you've never seen him, he's a bigger boy. Looks quite a bit like Seb Straka. And last but not least, Russell Knox. Solid, pedigree as a player. It's all the putter. But I think he could do all right again for the price tags. But remember, Nate Lashley, that would be my 6th guy in here. I am going to play some Nate Lashley. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Hey, as always, if you like what I'm doing, how I do it, click that like button. Share with anybody else if you would be so gracious. And we are slowly, again, trickling. Thank you, everybody that keeps on clicking that subscribe button. I've got plenty of content. I'm the one guy, maybe one other guy out there that's really focusing on golf right now and bringing you all the information and details that you need to gain an edge. So, hey, click that subscribe button. Keep me doing what I'm doing, and I greatly appreciate you. And if you need anything from me, any questions, anything you want to bounce off me, hit me up on YouTube comments or follow me at DFS Golf Guru on the Twitter sphere. All right, guys. Hey, have a great Sanderson Farms. Enjoy it. Again, not a ton of coverage. You're going to get PGA Live Thursday, Friday, and then you're going to get a few hours on the Golf Channel. But still, it's better than nothing. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Have a great weekend.